Dan, how you doing, bro? Nice to have you on again. Nice to chat to you. How you doing?
Good. It's good to be back. It's been a while. We're just saying it's been quite a while, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has been a long time, and it's been different. As I was just saying to you, it feels like forever, but COVID and office culture and whatnot, something that we miss out on quite a lot because we just don't have offices and we just work from home or whatever. Majority of our teams overseas, but yeah, to look back 2 years and say, hey man, where have we come from a COVID perspective? Different world, hey.
Yeah. Yeah. We made it through though, fortunately.
Well, this far we've made it through. I don't know how much further we can, who knows what's around the corner next. But yeah, man, listen, awesome. Thank you so much for joining us. It's nice to have you back. So just a quick bit of intro. Do you want to just tell us, obviously name, socials, where can people find you,
Yeah.
podcasts, all that stuff?
Sure. So my name's Dan. I run a creative video and social media marketing agency called Knowlton. We produce creative content and run paid social ads, all to drive a trackable return on investment for some of the biggest brands in the world, from Wall, Eurotunnel. We've worked with FIFA. And I'm also the co-host of the Business Anchors podcast, which we're going to be speaking about today, I think.
Yeah, awesome, cool, man. Thanks for the intro. So yeah, 100%. I mean, I think that's obviously the topic we wanted to go through today was podcasting. You guys, as you said, you've got a bit of experience with it over the last few years. It's obviously something that's quite popular. I mean, we all know about the Joe Rogan saga going on, and I've got questions I'd love to run that by you. But what is your take on podcasting for digital agency owners? And there's obviously no better time than the present to start it, but it's a grind, isn't it?
Well, it doesn't have to be, I guess. From my perspective, first of all, podcasting, it's one of the only kind of media channels that you can consume whilst doing something else and it still be effective. So it's a hugely efficient way of consuming content. I used to listen to audiobooks and was amazed at how much value you can get whilst doing something boring like doing the dishes or driving and that kind of thing. So it's an additional way to get in front of or in the minds of your potential customers whilst they're doing other kind of activities. So that's why I originally kind of think it's so powerful. But we started our podcast as an experiment back in February 2019, I think it was. We saw a bit of a gap in the market. There was lots of marketing podcasts out there that were very practical and tactical, which was great, and they're always in the charts, but none of them were that interesting to listen to, so we wanted to do something a bit different.
Yeah. And the focus of yours is on, as you said, it's kind of a business sort of perspective, which I think is pretty popular as well, that business niche. A lot of people, and I think that what you just hit on as well, the passive nature of podcasting is really, really interesting because you can get in subliminally almost.
Yeah, and also it's like, in terms of the depth of building that relationship compared to someone skimming past a piece of content on Facebook and watching a video for 3 seconds, it's like, half an hour, 45 minutes of someone listening to you speak. Imagine if you could get in front of your ideal customer for 30 minutes to 45 minutes and get them to listen to you. It's a really powerful tool.
And I guess that hits on the true nature of podcasting. It's not a sales technique, it's a nurturing technique, isn't it?
You're exactly right. It's not a hard sell, but if you do it effectively, and I'll share how our kind of strategy, if you do it effectively, it can be something that your ideal customers really enjoy consuming, but also at the same time, it can be a sales tool for you, not in the sense of buy my product now or sign up to my agency now. But what it can do is subliminally build trust. For example, the way we come up with a lot of our podcast topics is we have to tick a few boxes. First of all, is it interesting to our ideal customers? Marketing directors, CMOs, will they be interested in whatever we're speaking about? Is it adding value to those people? But thirdly, is there a way we can strategically tell stories about our agency and our experiences to demonstrate credibility, to demonstrate the value we provide our customers? And for example, we talk a lot about some of the successful campaigns we've run for brands, why it worked, how it worked, what went wrong, what went right, to give us an opportunity to ultimately talk about a case study, but in an interesting way where we're bouncing ideas off each other and speaking in a kind of non-formal way.
Right. And it's that social proof thing there. I mean, as you say, as you talk about campaigns, what went right, what went wrong. Firstly, the what went wrong is really interesting because, it's something that I've always been taught in business, like, by my business coach in particular, is don't be afraid to be vulnerable. You know, it's okay to say stuffed up and this is what we learned from it. So that's quite interesting. But as you do that, as you say, hey, what went wrong, you're actually showing potential clients that you exactly how you operate, how a campaign runs with you, what you take care of, what you value, etc.
Exactly. And not only that, one of the biggest benefits we found is what the podcast does for us is it pre-qualifies customers or potential customers before they get in contact with us. So for example, potential customers will get in contact with us and say, been listening to the podcast for 6 months. We know we want to work with you. Let's have a chat to figure out how it's going to work, rather than me trying to do cold outreach and say, hey, do you want to work with our agency? You don't know who I am. You don't trust me. It's the other way around.
So do you actively make use of your podcast as a hunting tool? Or is it more just you want to let it happen?
No, so I've seen that approach work quite well sometimes, where you can get guests on that or your ideal customers. We don't do that. We've had one guest on the past. We don't really have guests on our podcast. We use the other approach of it being like an inbound lead generation tool rather than outbound. So yeah, and it works well for that.
Gotcha. And I mean, in terms of digital agency owners who are potentially watching and worrying about getting going, there's no barrier to entry for a podcast. I mean, it's just a matter of getting off your ass and doing it.
I think I guess there is a couple of things. I think anyone can start a podcast with their phone using a tool like Anchor, but not everyone can start a podcast that your ideal customers will listen to and will enjoy. So I think there's a few things. Like the first thing would be making sure the sound quality isn't annoying. Like the lowest barrier to entry. If there's any kind of or it sounds rubbish, instantly people drop off. So it doesn't have to be super high quality product, like studio quality, but it needs to be good enough to not annoy people. So that's like the base level. And secondly, I think a lot of people go into podcasting thinking, let's just have an interesting conversation and people will give a shit. But that a lot of the time may be interesting to you, but people don't give a shit. So you have to think actually think about structuring an episode. How can we structure this so we're delivering information efficiently, it's not getting boring, it's providing value, it's relevant to the audience, and try and actually have a bit of structure around it. But you're exactly right, anyone can start a podcast, but I'd say try and put a little bit of legwork in before to make sure it's interesting and relevant and that kind of thing.
So tips and advice then on choosing a topic or what kind of strategic thinking should be happening before you.
So classic marketing 101. Who is it you want to listen to the podcast? We've gone down this a lot more niche route where we can produce a podcast that gets a lot more downloads, that's a lot more generic and entertaining in general, but isn't for our ideal customers, marketers from brands who we want to work with. So really think about what your your objective might be to reach as many people as possible. So start with your objective. Is it to, just pure brand awareness to anyone, or is it generating business? Think what that objective is. Think who your target market are. So who are you trying to target? Who do you want to become a customer? And then try and do research and try and understand that person and what they care about. Even like go and speak to current customers or do some kind of research to figure out like what do marketers from brands want to learn about. We've done episodes, for example, on that's super specific, like how to get promoted in your internal marketing role. It was called something fancier than that, but it's super specific to who we want to become a customer.
But yeah, that's Dan Knowlton. I really do highly recommend checking out his stuff. I'll get him to shoot out his details, his podcast into the community below. And if you've got any questions, I'm sure he'd be happy to sit down with you if you're looking to set up a podcast for yourself or for your age or any of your clients or whatever. I'm sure he'd be happy to take the time. So thanks for tuning in, those. We've got another great live coming up next week. And that's actually our one with Alex that went wrong a couple of weeks ago. So, and it's also fantastic from a community perspective, building a community, really valuable. So have a good one, guys. Have a great rest of the day. We'll chat soon.